Before I begin gassing up Zelda 1, I want to make it clear that I don't really have any nostalgia for this game. I didn't have an NES growing up, and the only time I got to play Zelda 1 was on the GameCube Anniversary Collector's Edition. And back when I was a kid, I hated Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. I kept getting lost, I didn't know where to go, I kept dying. It wasn't a fun experience for me. It wasn't until 2017, around the time I graduated high school, that I sat my ass down and actually played through Zelda 1. And I got into it, man. I got so immersed. I fell in love with Zelda 1. And in honor of the 40th anniversary of this fantastic game, we're gonna play through it. This is gonna be one part a let's play, one part a sort of walkthrough or a guide. So let's do it. Let's go. That music, man. Koji Kondo, one of the greatest. Freaking goat. Many years ago, Prince of Darkness Ganon, with two N's. What is he, Bill Ganon from Dragnet? Man, the soundtrack is good. A lot of it reminds me of like 70s, 80s prog rock, which makes sense actually because most of the music in this game is very deep purple. Again, this is gonna be like one part a walkthrough, one part let's play, but I'm gonna try to be pretty thorough with this playthrough here. Please look up the manual for details. We'll put a pin in that actually. I want to talk about the manual of this game here in a little bit. Let's go. I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, it is blasphemous to name Link anything other than Link. That's just, maybe that's a me thing, maybe I'm just stubborn, but that's not. That's Link. Come on, you can't be naming it after yourself. Get real. Grow up. So the first thing you want to do is go into this cave and get the sword. I feel like most people, it's dangerous to go alone, take this. Yeah, we all know. We all know the score. We all know the 411. The first thing I like to do whenever I boot up Zelda 1 is get bombs. And you can get bombs from blue Octoroks and blue Moblins. We've got this wooden sword here. We're not going to be keeping it for very long because the first thing I want to do is get the white sword. And in order to get the white sword, we need to get heart containers. And to get heart containers, we're gonna pick up some bombs from enemies. If you clicked on this video and you're unfamiliar with The Legend of Zelda, this game is pretty damn ingenious for its time. For 1986, this is a open world, proper action-adventure game. You can do most of the dungeons in whatever order you want, with some exceptions, like level 4, you need the raft in order to get to it. But for the most part, you're left to your own devices. There we go, blue Octoroks over there. Blue Moblins as well, let's see if we can get some bombs. Like I said a moment ago, I did not care for this game for the longest time. I recommend if you want to play Zelda 1 in 2026, I really recommend you play it with a map. I'm sure there's a bunch of uncles watching this who's like, nah, when I played it back in the 80s, I didn't have a map. I didn't have, no, that's cap. You had Nintendo Power. You had kids in the schoolyard like telling you tips and tricks and secrets about this game. Like nobody played Zelda 1 blind. There we go, bombs. So we got 4 bombs, let's get some heart containers. It irks me whenever I hear old heads on the internet talking about how, back in my day, I played through Zelda 1, and I didn't have a walkthrough or a guide. The game manual came with a map of Hyrule, bro. Like, stop fronting. So this is a beginner player's trap. You never want to get the potion. You want to go for the heart container, because that is a permanent upgrade. The potion seems nice at first, but then you learn later on in the game that there's an old lady who sells potions that you can get at any time. So don't go for the potion, go for the heart container. Once we get 5 heart containers, we can get the white sword. I love the sound design of this game. It's kind of futuristic and sci-fi sounding, like the sword beam and hitting the enemies. It's very crunchy sounding. It's good. It's funny, a lot of the things that I didn't like about this game when I was younger are nowadays the same things that make me appreciate this game. It's a secret to everybody. Yeah, there's a bunch of caves that give you rupees, which you actually need in this game. Unlike a lot of Zelda games, rupees are pretty important in Zelda 1. So up here, if we can get past the Lionel, we can get the white sword. I remember when Breath of the Wild came out in 2017, one of the biggest criticisms of that game was the lack of enemy variety, which I think is a totally fair criticism to leverage against Breath of the Wild. But people online were saying how, oh, but it has the Lionels, which is one of the coolest Zelda enemies ever. but the Lionels have always been around since Zelda 1. So we got the white sword, and it's pretty gangster. We're gonna be using this sword for a good majority of this playthrough. Let's go ahead and go to level 1. Breath of the Wild still holds up. I wasn't big on Tears of the Kingdom. I think it was just Breath of the Wild, but with more stuff. Maybe it was a bit too bloated, the pace wasn't great, in my opinion. But it's kind of funny how people nowadays online talk about how Zelda needs to go back to its roots, back to the formula, which, you know, I love Ocarina, Majora, Wind Waker. I love the traditional Zelda games. And part of me also wants Zelda to go back to its roots. But it's funny that people say that, because Breath of the Wild was kind of, that was kind of the point. It was going back to the roots of Zelda 1. Man, RetroArch is so cool. You might think that I'm playing this on actual hardware because of the crusty video, but it's just a shader in RetroArch. It gives it that vintage feel. Cross this bridge, and here we go, level 1. The tree stump, as I like to call it. Get ready for a banger. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the good shit. It's crazy how Koji Kondo was able to compose these songs that you hear for hours on end, but you don't get tired of them. You're gonna be hearing this dungeon music for a good majority of this game, but it doesn't get repetitive. I always wondered if the Stalfos enemies in this game are actually dual-wielding swords, or if the sprite is just flipping back and forth so quickly that it looks like they have two swords. I can't tell. To this day, I still can't tell. Another thing that I love about Zelda 1 is the way keys work. In pretty much every other Zelda game, keys are confined to the dungeon that you find them in. You can't take a key from one dungeon and use it in another dungeon, but in this game you can. So if you know where the bombable walls are, you can save keys and use them in a later dungeon, which is a great mechanic. I wish they would bring that back in future Zelda games. You can also straight up just buy keys at certain shops. So if you've got a bunch of rupees and you want to breeze through the dungeons, you can just purchase keys. I mentioned Deep Purple at the beginning of this video, but I think this dungeon music is straight up a chiptune square wave arrangement of a Deep Purple song. I don't remember the name off the top of my head though. I'm really glad that I eventually gave this game a fair shake and beat it properly, because now it's one of my favorite games of all time, but I was not a fan of Zelda 1 for the longest time. Playing this game back in 2017 with the lights turned off and like the windows open during the summertime, I had a map by my side, like just trying to find where all the secrets were and everything. That was the last time I think I got really immersed in a video game. I've replayed Zelda 1 so many times, it's ridiculous. This should probably take me 2 hours, but I'm gonna edit the shit out of the video, so hopefully it's no longer than 30 minutes after all is said and done, and I've edited it and everything. But if you know what you're doing, you can beat this game in a single sitting. Got the bow, which is not as OP as it is in other Zelda games, and in fact, you don't even get arrows in this game. Your rupees are your ammunition. I don't think Link is literally firing rupees at the enemies. I think it was just a hardware memory limitation. I love these sound effects so much. They're so punchy. It's great. I think these boomerang throwing goblin dudes are called Garayas. They look very curmudgeonly, like they have a big frown on their face. Got the boomerang, which I don't really use the boomerang a whole lot in this game. I mostly have bombs equipped. This is Aqua Mentis, aka one of the coolest Zelda bosses in my opinion. Even though he's a complete pushover if you have the white sword. And the first piece of the Triforce. It's that easy, baby. Hell yeah. Before we do level 2, let me go ahead and buy the candle from the shop. When I was a kid, I would go on YouTube and search up old video game commercials, and I remember seeing one for the Nintendo cereal system. And this was like 2007, 2008. I was like 9 or 10 years old. And I remember sitting there watching that commercial for the Nintendo cereal system and thinking, damn, I was born in the wrong generation. Because I was born too late to eat the Nintendo cereal. And you know what? I still kind of feel that way. I'm still out of practice when it comes to doing Let's Plays, because I've been streaming for the past couple of years. And I'm pivoting my channel back to making edited Let's Plays, and I just don't know how to commentate without chat. It feels weird. There's a heart container around here. I think it's that one. I always forget which of these bushes I need to burn. One of these is burnable, and it'll give me a heart container. Just hold up. I'll figure it out eventually. There we go. I often hear people lament that Zelda 1 is really obtuse and cryptic, which I won't disagree with. I mean, that's the reason I disliked it when I played this game as a kid. But to be fair, a lot of the hidden, like, esoteric burnable bushes and hidden pathways are just for heart containers and rupees. It's pretty easy to just stumble into the dungeons in this game by complete accident. I think when I was a kid, when I was playing this on the GameCube, I found level 1 and like level 2 and 3, but I couldn't make it any further than that. Like, I don't know where every single rupee alcove is. I don't know where all of the secrets are in this game, but I have beaten it many times. I know Hyrule like the back of my hand. It's just another knuckle to me at this point. I've never beaten the second quest. Basically, when you beat Zelda 1, you unlock a new quest. The dungeons are rearranged and it's overall harder than the first quest. I've never been able to beat it. Maybe someday I'll take a stab at trying to beat the second quest. How are y'all feeling about the CRT RF cable shader, by the way? Do you like it? I think it's cozy. It almost feels like I'm playing it on actual hardware. It's even better if you have a scanline filter, but the scanlines look bad in OBS, so I don't bother with it. But let me know for future videos if I should leave it or turn it off. It doesn't matter how many times I replay this game, I always forget the location of level 2. Like, I just cut out probably 5 minutes of me stumbling around trying to find level 2. I love the entrances to the dungeons in this game as well. Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 kind of have a Western advanced Dungeons and Dragons vibe to the visuals. If you look at the official illustrations from the instruction book, there's like realistic monster drawings, and it's very Dungeons and Dragons, very Western feeling. Kind of reminds me of that old Disney movie, Sword in the Stone, as well. Zelda 2 is great, by the way. I think Zelda 2 is super overhated. I've streamed it a couple of times, but if you want to see just highlights from those streams that I did last year, you can check that out on the channel. The video is called Zelda 2 is Brutal, which, I mean, that's a pretty succinct video title, I feel. Zelda 2 is pretty damn hard. I need to get around to playing that fan-made Zelda 2 remake by a guy named Hoverbat. It looks really cool. I'm just kind of stubborn and I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. Speaking of the artwork of Zelda 1 and 2, there's one specific illustration of Link from Zelda 1 where he's dripped up and draped out. He's got all of the equipment on him, like all of the items in this game. It's great. And then in Zelda 2, he looks like a Keebler elf. These snake enemies, by the way, they're called ropes, like a nope rope, I guess. There's an old Angry Video Game Nerd quote where he says something like, if you can't tell the difference between a snake and a rope, you're fucked. Dodongo. Let's do some bombing. Let's bomb some Dodongos even. I missed. There we go. 2 bombs, that's it. Definitely not as cinematic as King Dodongo from Ocarina of Time, but this was 1986. And just like that, the first 2 levels have been completed. Heck yeah, dude! I didn't realize how loud the game volume was. I'm glad that I stopped recording and edited the first, like, portion of this Let's Play, because holy crap, the game audio was loud. How many hearts do I need to get the magic sword? I think it's like 13. I don't know why I'm asking. I'm doing a recording. There's no stream. There's no chat. The Master Sword wasn't a thing until, I want to say, Link to the Past, because in this game, you've got the magic sword, which is the final sword that you get. Before we do the 3rd dungeon, I'm gonna do a little bit of off-screen rupee grinding, because I want to get the blue ring, aka the blue tunic, before we do level 3. So thankfully, I can edit that out so y'all don't have to sit here for 20 minutes as I'm grinding for rupees. There's a rupee alcove in the northeasternmost portion of the map, but I'm gonna save that for later, because the dude that gives you rupees there gives you like 200 rupees or something crazy, and I can just grind for the remaining rupees to get the blue ring. That actually didn't take me that long. We have 255 rupees, which is the max that you can hold in this game. I don't think there's any wallet upgrades like in Ocarina of Time. But we're gonna go to this shop right here underneath the Armo statue. And for 250 rupees, we can get the blue ring. But it's worth it. So I think now we take like a third of the damage that we used to, and we rock this lilac purple looking tunic. Not really blue. It doesn't look blue to me, but I'm also colorblind, so who knows. Go ahead and heal up at the fairy fountain, and let's do level 3, which is pretty infamous for one reason. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. The entrance to this dungeon reminds me of that Glutgo enemy from the CDI Zelda games. And for some reason, Link's color palette changes. His skin tone becomes less tan. I don't know why that is. This is the only dungeon where Link looks different for some reason. I don't know. These blob enemies, for the longest time, I thought they were choo-choos, like the choo-choos in Majora and Wind Waker, but they're a different enemy. They're called Zols. Here we go, the Dark Nuts, which is a great name. Maybe they're closely related to the Knights of the Blue Balls. These are some of the toughest enemies in the game. You can't attack them from the front, and they turn around on a dime. So basically, they can poke you very easily, and they do a fair bit of damage. This is why I recommend you get the blue ring before doing level 3, because those Dark Nuts can mess you up. Here we got the raft, which is necessary to go into level 4, and there's a couple of secrets that we can get, some islands that we can go to that'll give us like heart containers and rupees and stuff. Did you get the sword from the old man on top of the waterfall? The tips in this game are pretty cryptic, which is apropos of a video game from the 80s, but they're not entirely useless. It's not like Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. This is why level 3 is kind of infamous. So I know what it looks like, but it's not a swastika. Apparently, it's a Japanese symbol called the manji, and the manji is a symbol for peace, and ironically, you know, the Third Reich used it and bastardized it. I do think it's kind of interesting that they didn't change this in localization. I could imagine there would be some confused kids in the 80s playing this game like, yeah, this game's pretty cool, but why is there a Hitler? Why is there a Hitler in my Zelda? It is very strange that they didn't change that in the localization. Fun fact, this boss's name is Manhandla. I played Hyrule Warriors before I ever played Zelda 1 up until this point, and in Hyrule Warriors, I was like, there's no way this guy's name is Manhandla. Down here, if we move this Armo statue, we can get some more rupees. I'm gonna go ahead and grind some more rupees so we can get the meat and the arrows and maybe a potion. And if we go over here, take the raft, I think this is a heart container. It looks like a dungeon, but it's not. Yeah, another heart container, so that's one step closer to getting the magic sword. Up here, this is the old man that gives you the pharmacy receipt item. Show this to the old woman! And this is how you can buy potions from various cave grandmas that sell you their potions. This looks like level 1, but it's not. If you go behind the tree, it's one of these tiles. Found a secret. And more rupees. This guy gives you like 100 rupees? Yeah, so northeasternmost point of Hyrule, you can get some fast money. I know that seems really cryptic and obtuse, and it is, but there actually is an NPC that hints at that. He says something like northernmost point has the secret, which it's pretty cryptic, but that's why you're watching this video, so I can tell you all of the secrets, all the tips and tricks. Inside this bombable wall cave, there's a grandma. Look at how friendly and inviting that smile is. We're gonna give her this. And you can buy medicine. The blue potion heals you once, the red potion heals you twice. There are no fairies that you can put in bottles in this game, so you gotta use your potions before you die. Gotta love the stopwatch item that freezes the enemies in place. The world! I don't think they ever brought that item back in any future Zelda game. Gonna go ahead and buy the meat. So we have that when we get to level 5 or level 6. I think is where we need the meat. And we'll buy the arrows. So even though you buy an arrow item, you don't use arrows, as I mentioned a moment ago. You use rupees. But I think that's just a memory limitation of the NES, at least an early NES game like Zelda. If we take the raft up here, this takes us to level 4. Let's do it. Level 4 is pretty unremarkable. I would say that this is the last dungeon before the game starts getting pretty friggin' hard. This is the last dungeon before the game starts throwing like whiz robes at you. And the whiz robes in this game are the spawn of Satan. You also got these little bouncing kangaroo fellas. One of the things I don't like about Zelda 1 are these dark rooms. Basically, you have to pause the game and use your candle to illuminate the room. It wouldn't be that bad if it only happened every once in a while, but I swear, from level 4 onwards, every other room in a dungeon is a dark room. It's not even a puzzle, really. You just pause, open up your inventory, select the candle, and then illuminate the room. It's kind of unnecessary. These are the likes. They're kind of anusy looking, especially in the 3D Zelda games like Ocarina of Time. They're very sphincter-esque. This is Gleeok. Say hello to Gleeok, everybody. This is probably my favorite boss battle in this game. He's just a cool dragon. Zelda overall doesn't have a ton of dragons, but the dragons that are present in this series are very cool. And this game has 2. And now we have enough hearts to get the magic sword. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's 6 a.m. I just woke up. I was gonna one-take Jake this while I was recording yesterday, but then I got sleepy. I don't know why I felt the need to include this in the Let's Play. It definitely did not need to be included. So now we can go get the magic sword from the graveyard, which is off to the west. I can't remember. Did I buy? Yeah, I bought the meat and the arrows, and we've got a potion. So we're good. Going into level 5, we should be good. I think level 5 introduces the whiz robes, which are the most annoying enemy in this game, in my opinion, but it might actually be level 6. Now that I'm saying out, I think level 6 has the whiz robes. The Lost Woods. There's a pattern here. You gotta go northwest, southwest. If you don't take that pattern, you're stuck in an endless loop. And this is another one of those cryptic moments, but there is an NPC that hints at it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I recommend you play through Zelda 1 with a map that shows you where the dungeons are located, but if you want to play it with a walkthrough by your side, that's also a totally fine, totally valid way to experience Zelda 1 for the first time, because this game is cryptic. Most of the cryptic stuff is optional, like the magic sword being hidden conspicuously under that one specific tombstone. I don't have enough hearts to get it yet. Wait, I know where we can get a heart container real quick. And by real quick, I mean we gotta huff it on foot all the way over to the other side of the continent, but that won't take too long. The Zoras in Zelda 1 look like goblin fish people, and then Ocarina of Time redesigned them very drastically. They look totally different in future Zelda games. I think one of the Zelda games, it might have been A Link Between Worlds, explain that. Like the piranha goblin looking Zora dudes are freshwater Zoras, and the beautiful looking ephemeral fish Zora people from Ocarina of Time are like saltwater Zoras or something like that. Maybe I have it backwards. I need to revisit A Link Between Worlds. I remember loving it back when it came out well over a decade ago now, but I haven't played it since it came out. I remember really liking the item rental system. You could kind of tackle dungeons in whatever order you wanted to. A Link to the Past, which A Link Between Worlds is a sequel to Link to the Past, it had a little bit of non-linearity in the Dark World. You could do a couple of the dungeons out of order, but it was mostly sequential, which I don't think is a bad thing. Some people act like linearity is like a bad thing nowadays, but linearity is the reason why games like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are so good, because you can design the dungeons a certain specific way. This is the heart container we needed. Now we should be able to get the magic sword. That's the thing with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which, again, I'm not a big fan of Tears of the Kingdom. I didn't enjoy it myself, but I still think Breath of the Wild holds up very well. You can't really have your cake and eat it too. You can't have open world non-linear design while having the traditional Zelda dungeons where it's really focused and you go into a dungeon, you have this item because you did the dungeon previously, which gave you that item. So you kind of, that's the thing with open world. You can't have that more focused surgical design that Zelda was known for. But I still think Breath of the Wild is a good game. I've revisited it a couple years ago. I need to revisit that game as well, because my last playthrough of it was 2020, 6 years ago. Jesus Christ. There are a ton of people that have never played Zelda 1, which is totally understandable because this game is challenging and it can be obtuse, wandering around, not knowing where to go. But I've said it multiple times in this video already. I think if you're a Zelda fan, you should definitely play this game. I think if you play it with either a walkthrough by your side or a map, you will enjoy it. That's how I got into it all those years ago when I first played through this game to completion. There is nothing wrong with playing through a game with a walkthrough. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I've got beef with save scumming and rewinding and fast forwarding through games, but I have no issue with playing a game with a strategy guide or a walkthrough or a game facts by your side. I think that's totally fine. Now we can get the magic sword. I think. We should definitely have... Yeah, we're good. We're good. This is the strongest sword in the game, and it looks pretty cool, too. We could actually do level 6 before we do level 5 just to get that over with. Nah. I'm gonna do these sequentially. Let's go ahead and head north and do level 5. There's also a potion shop here. One of these tiles is bombable. Yeah, so if you need a potion, you can re-up with Grandma here. I think the bracelet is around here somewhere. It's an optional item. There it is. It looks like a croissant.
Are you gonna finish that croissant?
The bracelet just moves boulders, which act as there's like warp zones strewn throughout Hyrule. You don't need it to beat the game though, but it's nice because you can take shortcuts through Hyrule. When I was a kid playing this game on the GameCube for the first time, I thought those falling rocks were supposed to be Gorons. I don't know why, but that was just how my brain interpreted that sprite. I was like, oh, those are the Gorons. So up here in the northeastern portion of the map, it's another Lost Woods type maze, but you just gotta keep going forward. There's a song by Mad Hatter called Ganon Slayer. And whenever I think of the Lost Woods in this game, I think of north, west, south, west, secret passageways in the forest. Level 5. You can get a bomb upgrade somewhere in this dungeon. Look at all those Dodongos. I have just enough to kill them. We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to this room. I love the Gibdo sprite so much. Looks like a cereal mascot, like Yummy Mummy. Dark Nuts go down in one hit with the magic sword. You love to see it. These rabbit enemies are called Pole's Voice, and in the Famicom version, you actually scream into the controller to kill them. You see, the Player 2 controller on the Famicom came with a microphone, which the North American NES controller didn't. They take a bunch of hits to kill, but you can shoot them with an arrow, and they go down in one hit. Got the map. I think this level is called the Lizard, but it kind of looks like E.T.'s sprite for the Atari 2600. Dig Dogger hates certain kind of sound. What the fuck does that mean? Nah, I'm just playing with you. I know what that means. The boss, Dig Dogger. We all know Dig Dogger. Time to bomb some Dodongos, fellas. Hopefully. Hopefully. They turn on a dime, and it's not telegraphed, so it's very easy to miss the bomb. There we go. Perfect. Blue Dark Nuts. Perhaps these are the Knights of the Blue Balls. I already made that joke like 15 minutes ago. We've got a bombable wall here, and this is the old man that sells us more bombs. I bet you'd like to have more bombs. You bet. Now we can hold 12. Man, these guys pack a wallop. I hope that I can make it through this dungeon without using my potion, because I really need it for level 6. And there we go. We got the flute, which is only used a couple of times in this game, but you do need it to beat the game. I don't think it's actually a flute. I think it's a recorder, which is like a shittier flute. I don't know. The only time I've ever seen a recorder was back when I was in elementary school and we had those little plastic recorders. Remember a moment ago when the old man said that Dig Dogger hates certain sounds? This is what he meant. If you've ever played Mario 3, you're probably familiar with that little tune as well. And there we go, level 5. There's not really any secrets on the overworld that I need to find. At this point, we can just make a beeline for level 6. Level 6 is located back here, near the graveyard. And I think this level and Death Mountain, aka level 9, are the hardest dungeons in the game. Level 6 is pretty brutal, mostly because you have to contest with the Wizrobe enemies. These fellas right here. Now, I love their design. Right? Little cloaked magician dude with a robe. That's a great design, just like a little fella. Like the Wizrobes in this game or the Black Mage from Final Fantasy. Great design, peak design. Fighting the Wizrobes is a different story. I think if you have the magic shield, which you can buy at many shops strewn throughout Hyrule, you can deflect the Wizrobe spells.
Help me do it! I can cast the spell!
Pipe down, Wyatt. I don't think a spell is gonna work on this one.
But I never bother to buy the big magic shield. This is the dungeon where you get the magical wand, which is a pretty good weapon, but here's the thing, Zelda 1 has plenty of ranged weapons. You got the bow, you've got the candle, you've got the magic wand, so it's a little bit superfluous, but still, it's a fun weapon to use. The blue Wizrobes, these guys are the spawn of Satan. Look at how much damage just one shot from the Wizrobes does to you. God damn! This is why you should go into this dungeon with a potion. And look at that, we got a rematch with Gleeok. I think the reason I never bother to buy the big magic shield is because if you get eaten by a like, they take it away from you. And the magic shield is pretty expensive. Gonna have to bust out the potion. I'm telling you, Wizrobes are no joke. A moment ago, I was talking about all of the ranged weapons in this game, and I failed to mention your freaking sword is a ranged weapon if you've got max hearts. How many Zelda games are there that feature the sword beam versus Zelda games that don't have the sword beam? Zelda 1, 2, Link to the Past, and I think no, not Link's Awakening. The first 3 Zelda games have the sword beam. Ocarina of Time doesn't. Majora's Mask does if you count the Fierce Deity. What is bro doing? He's just sliding back and forth. He's having a good time. I forgot to get the magic wand. I don't really need it, but for the sake of completion, let's go ahead and get it. I'm not gonna front, it's a pretty fun weapon to use. It was especially busted in Hyrule Warriors. Yeah, it's a fun weapon. Hyrule Warriors was so much fun. There was so much fan service, especially to like the old NES Zelda games. It was great. The Dynasty Warriors games, Musou games, whatever you want to call them, they're kind of mindless, but I really, really liked Hyrule Warriors. I put so many hours into that damn game. This is Goma. Say hello. It's that easy, folks. Level 6, done. Level 7 is located near the Lost Woods. You gotta play the flute to drain the lake. Here we go, level 7. I think this is a fair bit easier than level 6. Level 7 and level 8 aren't too bad. I didn't realize for the longest time that this enemy is supposed to be the Moldera enemies, like the boss in A Link to the Past. Never put 2 and 2 together for the longest time. The item in this dungeon is the red candle, which is so superfluous that I might not even get it. I haven't mentioned this yet, but I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but the blue candle, you can only fire off 1 flame per room, and the red candle allows you to fire off as many as you like per room. So with the blue candle, right, I use it, but then can't use it again. Honestly, the red candle is pretty unnecessary. I might get it in this dungeon if I can stumble into it, but it's definitely not an essential item. Oh, that slowdown. The NES can't handle it. It doesn't have enough blast processing. I'd bet you like to have more bombs. Yeah, I would.
Grumble, grumble.
This is the Goriah, and he's hungry. He wants the meat. Shoutouts to Hungry Goriah on YouTube, by the way. She does great retro gaming videos. Whenever I see the Goriah enemy, I think of that YouTube channel. How did they do that Godzilla sound effect on the NES? I don't think you could sample with the NES audio hardware. But that screaming, that screeching monster sound, that's definitely Godzilla. Here's the red candle, by the way. I figured we would just get it. Totally unnecessary, you don't need it, but now we got it. This room was the one part of Zelda that I had to look up a walkthrough for, because I didn't realize you were supposed to, like, kill all of the enemies, the wall masters, and then... Give me that. Give me that. Give me that rupee. What the hell? Okay, it despawned. You gotta kill all the enemies and then push this block, and then it takes you to the boss. And this was the one instance where I had to look up a walkthrough just because I did not know how to get to the boss. Got a rematch with Aquamentus, and it's just as easy as the first time. I think they brought him back in Oracle of Seasons, or maybe it was Oracle of Ages, but yeah, Zelda needs more dragons. Cool ass boss. I don't know why, but I think Aquamentus is just like the coolest boss in all of Zelda. Y'all remember the DSi Flipnote app? There was a Zelda contest where people submitted their own Zelda animations made on Flipnote. Whenever I hear the Zelda 1 overworld theme, I just think back to those cool Flipnote Zelda animations from back in the early 2010s. Good times. And level 8 is right over here. Hidden underneath the bush, the penultimate dungeon. It's just chilling underneath the bush. Let's do it. I think if we just go straight forward, we can get the Lion's Key, which is a super important item, and we're gonna need it for level 9, because Death Mountain is brutal. Manhandling drank his coffee this morning, holy moly. Bomb this wall, and he should be right up here. Around here. By counting crows, throwing all of the bosses at me. Goma, Manhandler, it's a freaking bullet hell Toho level in here. There we go. The Lion's Key. Yeah, you can just go straight forward throughout the whole dungeon, and you want this key. Like I said a moment ago, it makes Death Mountain a whole lot easier. What happens if I collect a key after getting the Lion Key? Nothing.
10th enemy has the bomb.
This one line of dialogue from the old man here eluded players for so long. There's a great video by Game Trailers when they did their Pop Fiction series over a decade ago, but basically go watch that video if you want to know more about the item RNG, enemy drop, item drop, whatever system of Zelda 1. It's a great video. Leok, how many times do I gotta teach you this lesson, old dragon? And I think that's all heart containers, right? It looks like there should be another row above it, but I'm pretty sure this is all of them. It's been real, and it's been fun. But let's go ahead and finish this game up. Level 9, which I am dreading. No matter how many times I replay this game, level 9 always gives me a hard time. I got another potion. I'm ready to do this. Death Mountain. If I don't get obliterated by Lionels before I even go in there, Jesus. Let's do it. Level 9. So the two things that we need before we fight Ganon are the red ring and the silver arrows. And I'm gonna get lost here. No matter how many times I replay Zelda 1, I always get lost trying to find the silver arrows. This song smacks though, it's really good. Like, this song screams, yeah, you're in the home stretch, you're in the final dungeon. Let's do it. It's so good. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Wyatt, it can't be that bad. Here's a map of the dungeon. Go to the next room! That is the most succinct and concise advice that I've gotten throughout the duration of this game. The red ring is around here somewhere. I know it's up here tucked away in the corner. I remember that much. I gotta defeat the Lord of the Flies first. I'm already using up my potion, and we're at the very beginning of the dungeon. Like, you gotta get the red tunic as quickly as possible. There we go, got the map. I think the red ring is up here. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's tucked away up in the top right corner of the dungeon, but trust me, you want this. See, now that I got the red tunic, the Wizrobes ain't shit. Defeat all the Wizrobes, and then push this block over here. And yeah, silver arrows. Now we just gotta make our way to Ganon. And that's Zelda 1, baby. As an aside, the name Silver Arrows is way better than Light Arrows. Silver Arrows is gangster. I have this special ability to completely forget the layout of level 9 every time I do a new playthrough of The Legend of Zelda. In my defense, this is probably the most sick and twisted final dungeon in a Zelda game. Second only to the Great Palace from Zelda 2. But it took me long enough, but here we go. There's Ganon. Now to fight Ganon in this game, you just gotta swing your sword into the air aimlessly and hope that you hit him. That I don't know if there's a better way to do this fight. I really don't know. But this is how I've always fought Ganon. And then I think one more hit, and then we get him with the silver arrows. There we go. He turned into a pile of smoldering ash. Yeah, level 9 is, level 9's a little bit twisted, but there you go. 40 years old. That is crazy. The Legend of Zelda is 40 years old. I'm a big fan of this game. It took me a long time before I really appreciated Zelda 1. But it's a game that I think any Zelda fan should play. Regardless of if you use save states or if you use a guide or a map, however you want to play the game, I recommend that you do. This is my probably second favorite game in the Zelda series behind Ocarina of Time. But it's great. It's great. I can only imagine the sense of discovery if you were a kid back in the 80s playing this game, which was not my experience with Zelda 1, but I've grown to appreciate this game regardless. Hope you enjoyed this little playthrough of The Legend of Zelda. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.